Well, the Seahawks did it. Russell Wilson is gone. He has been sent to the Denver Broncos as part of a massive blockbuster trade. Now, technically speaking, Russ still has to officially sign off on this deal. I feel very confident saying this deal would not be happening if Russell Wilson didn't want out of Seattle. Denver is getting Russell Wilson and a 4th-round pick. Seattle, then, is getting a fairly significant haul of draft capital. Drew Lock, the QB. Okay. Shelby Harris, the defensive end. He'll be a nice piece for you. Noah Fant, the tight end. 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and a 5th-round selection as well are what is going from Denver to Seattle. Now, those of you who have been subscribed know for a while, I didn't want to trade Russ. I'm in shambles for Seattle. A rebuild is what needs to happen for the Seahawks. I cannot believe they dealt him. And regardless of what reports might come out that'll be leaked from Wilson's camp, and maybe the Seahawks camp will say otherwise, I think Russ wanted to go. Because if you believe you're a contender, which I believe Seattle can still be, you don't trade away a franchise QB. As good as the haul may or may not be, you want to have that franchise QB because look how much Denver just gave up to go get one. Look what the Commanders were offering, by the way. Significant picks in 3 straight drafts is what Washington was prepared to give up for. But maybe Russ wanted to stay on the West Coast to an extent, the western side of the United States, I guess I should say there. So what is your one-word reaction to this Russell Wilson trade? Can be negative, can be positive, could be anything. What do you think? What is your one-word reaction to this Russ trade? I'll make this the pinned comment on today's video. So if the ad break comes on YouTube, take advantage of it. While it plays, head down there and give me one-word reaction. Hall could be a pretty decent one because I do think this is a significant return. And if you look at the biggest trades in NFL history beyond the Herschel Walker disaster, this one certainly is up there. You're getting back in this year's draft. Now, I'm going to assume it is a 2022 first-round pick and a 2023 first-round pick, i.e. you're getting this year's number 9 overall pick and Denver's pick next year, which probably would be a, let's just say pick 28 or whatever it ends up being. The second-round pick details are not known. They have not been reported as we film this live right now. I would guess a second-round pick this year and maybe a second-round pick next year. Maybe Denver wants to keep that. They have 2 second-round picks this year, part of the Von Miller trade. So either way, you're getting 2 good draft picks as well and a 5th-round pick date to be determined. Why Denver gave up a 4th-round pick? I don't know. It feels like a bit of a weird flex, but they got 2 fourths this year, so maybe that begins to work out. So you can begin to rebuild your core with those 2 early picks this year and I assume next year. The players they then get back. Drew Lock, he's not your guy. He is not your franchise QB. I have seen him play in Denver. And there might be some Denver Lock truthers still out there. He's not your franchise QB. He ain't the guy. Going forward, I will be referring to Drew Lock as Tank Commander. Because that's what I actually think Seattle should do. They should tank for a year. Look, we will do Russell Wilson replacements. Start Drew Lock for a year. Maybe I'm wrong and he is your guy. But it's a bad QB draft class. Are you sold on Malik Willis? Are you sold on Kenny Pickett? You tank next year. Hey, maybe you get C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young. And that's a little bit more appealing as we sit right now in March of 2022 than, Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett or whoever. So if I'm Seattle, and we will spend plenty of time on this in the future, I don't think Drew Lock's my guy. I'd rather focus on maybe a QB next year and build the core around your roster, then insert the cheap young QB just like they did originally with Russell Wilson. We will have plenty of more reaction coming out of the Russell Wilson trade right here on our Seahawks YouTube channel. Tomorrow's video is Russell Wilson replacement, which could be Drew Lock, by the way. But if you haven't already, subscribe. We're going to keep you guys covered as Seattle. Well, now we can do some draft targets for them. Sucks short term, but some more interesting videos coming for you here on Seattle Seahawks Today. The most intriguing piece for me beyond the draft capital is Noah Fant, who, that's a good tight end, guys. Had Fant been eligible in this year's draft class, I think he would have been a first-round pick. I think a team like and he was a first-round pick when he was taken out of Iowa, I know that. I'm talking if he were magically draft eligible, knowing what we know about Noah Fant right now, somebody would take him round 1. Like the Titans, for example, would potentially take him round 1. So he's not really worth a first-round pick. He'd probably be a late first, so we'll call him a second-round value, more or less. That's a good long-term and short-term impact piece for Seattle. Means Will Dissly may or may not be back. A Fant-Parkinson tight end duo. This need is fixed for Seattle. I like the addition, by the way, of Shelby Harris. A little bit older of a prospect, player, I should say. He and Puna forward along that 3-4 front. That's a really good core building block there. Harris isn't that old. He is not a young necessarily player, but he fits a keep you competitive-ish, and also you can maybe have him at the back end of his career moving forward. So I like Shelby Harris. Those are two good starting caliber assets Seattle got in this trade. The details again, in case you weren't paying attention. Drew Lock, Shelby Harris, Noah Fant, 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and a 5th-round pick for Russell Wilson and a 4th. So who won the trade? Type in SEA for Seattle or DEN for the Denver Broncos. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I believe this. It is time for Seattle to rebuild. Yes, Pete Carroll was an older head coach. You have draft picks now. You are searching for a QB, which is, of course, the most important position out there on the football field. They will run the football a lot next year. Pete Carroll gets to go back to that style of offense. You might be able to be competitive, but the Rams, the Niners, and even the Cardinals that's a damn good football team in the NFC, or group teams in the NFC West. I would rebuild. It might only be a year or two of a rebuild if you find a QB in the near future. But I would not be overly aggressive in free agents the way I was going to be this past year. Re-sign your key players. Youth is where you should be signing players if you go that route. With Wilson gone on offense, is Bobby Wagner gone next? You guys know my plan was to pay Russell Wilson, pay Bobby Wagner, go win right now. Throw that plan out the window. Put it in the garbage, light it on fire. It's done. With Wilson gone, maybe you do just cut Bobby Wagner. You can chop him for a trade, see if you can get something. But an older linebacker doesn't fit you with this new timeline in Seattle. Maybe that changes if they use the first to go get somebody else at QB, but I don't think it does. So my mindset, I think it's time to rebuild. What do you guys think? Do you agree with me or not? Type in Y for yes you do, or type in N for no you do not. Do you think it is time for Seattle to embrace a rebuild?